messy process of becoming Samantha, and that's how I fell in love with the road. The reassuring hum of an engine, the thrill of a blurry world whooshing past your windshield, these are seductive enough forces in their own right. When they provide the only momentum in a life that feels stalled, they become irresistible. I'm still driving today, now with a passenger. Years of hormones and surgeries later, the outline of that once impossible future has been filled in, the M on my birth certificate erased and replaced with a reaffirming F. I officially resigned from the Mormon Church in 2008, dealt with the resulting familial drama, and came out as a transgender woman 4 years later. Most important, I got married to another woman in 2016, a woman named Corey who not only accepted me, but who guided me through the early stages of gender transition. With her help, I can finally, do my eyeliner. Much of my painful past is now in the rearview mirror, and my car long ago stopped being the only place where I felt free, but I have never stopped roaming. That need to feel the asphalt under my wheels, to count the mile markers as they whiz by, to track down the best-lit gas station on a dark highway at 2 a.m., that hasn't gone away. Cars, for me, are still places of refuge, portals to distant possibilities. I have crisscrossed the United States half a dozen times and counting. I came out as transgender in Atlanta, Georgia, fell in love in Bloomington, Indiana, and found my ride-or-die friends in East Tennessee. This is what I've learned on my travels. America is a deeply queer country, not just the liberal bastions and enclaves, but the so-called real America sandwiched between the coasts. I was once terrified to be transgender in Utah and queer in Georgia. Not anymore. I love this damn country too much to write off the majority of its surface area. That's why I wrote this book. Real Queer America is the product of a 6-week-long cross-country road trip through LGBT communities in red states. It is, for me, a direct continuation of those late-night drives up Provo Canyon. Call it a spiritual successor. I will take you along with me on a Trans-America trek, a journey stretching all the way from Provo, Utah to the Rio Grande Valley, from the Midwest to the Deep South, meeting and interviewing extraordinary LGBT people along the way. When I told friends and family I was writing this book, their immediate response was usually one of concern. Be careful. I get it. This might seem like a frightening time to be queer in the USA, let alone for a transgender reporter to cross its most conservative regions by car. Many of the states on my itinerary had draconian anti-LGBT laws on the books at the time of my trip, and many still do. Some had even more pernicious bills waiting in the wings. With President Donald Trump in the White House, too, the federal government was stacked with figures who posed an unprecedented threat to LGBT rights, our right to work, our right to marry, even our right to use the bathroom. And there's no way to get from coast to coast without having to pee in half a dozen different states. But in my experience, too many folks in liberal enclaves are under the misconception that the anti-LGBT bigots who back Trump wield uncontested control over conservative parts of the country. Some still think that red states are irredeemable cesspools of hatred to be avoided at all costs. Flyover country, they call it, dangerously assured of their own relative safety and moral superiority. Never mind reports of anti-transgender violence in places such as Bushwick, Brooklyn, or Capitol Hill, Seattle, both neighborhoods where no one would ever warn me to be careful. Real Queer America is an attempt to document what's actually happening in the real America that more and more LGBT people are calling home. To capture some of the progressive cultural shifts that people on the coast don't read enough about in a media environment that focuses mostly on a handful of horrific incidents and regressive laws. It's not that red states don't have problems. They do. As an LGBT journalist, I spend much of my time reporting on anti-transgender bathroom bills and other red state attacks on my rights. But places are so much more than their laws. And the only way for people on the coasts to understand how states such as Mississippi, Texas, and Tennessee are evolving is to stop flying over them and start going to them. Nothing could be queerer than getting out of your comfort zone. The word queer itself